2 weeks ago, I talked about the strengths associated with ADHD in a video called ADHD is My Superpower. Last week, I made a video called ADHD and Missing the Memo, and I'll link to both of those in the description below. Today, what I want to focus on, though, is how low self-esteem is often a secondary impact of ADHD. Low self-esteem is something that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with. But it's important to note that it is not in itself a symptom of ADHD. Instead, it's a secondary symptom that results from a lifetime of being misunderstood or rejected. People with ADHD experience low self-esteem in the highest measure when they don't get diagnosed with it. The best preventative measure for feeling bad about yourself as a person with ADHD is to get diagnosed, especially if you can get diagnosed in childhood. But even people who have the diagnosis can still struggle with this problem. Let's look at some of the factors that contribute to this. When children with ADHD go to school, they are often told that they are bad, constantly misbehaving, and not living up to their potential. Even though I was diagnosed with ADHD early, I have vivid memories from my school years of times that I was told that I was a problem. When I was in second grade, we were learning Roman numerals, and we were doing a project where we had to write out all of the Roman numerals from 1 to 100. While I worked on my Roman numerals project, I was chatting with the person next to me. And as I perceived it, as I remember it to this day, all of the kids in the class were talking with each other. But maybe that wasn't actually the case, or maybe I was talking more loudly, or just more than the other kids were. Because before I knew it, the teacher told me that I was distracting the other kids and that I had to go sit on a bench outside the classroom to wait to be sent to the principal's office. I didn't even understand what I'd done. To this day, I still don't understand what I had done. When I was in 7th grade, my well-meaning parents asked my history teacher to keep a close eye on me. They said, "We want to let you know that Jenny has ADHD, and she could use some extra support. So if you wouldn't mind helping her stay focused, that might help her excel in your class." And so the way that my history teacher did this was anytime she looked at me and it seemed like I was maybe starting to drift off or like I was fidgeting with something, she would come over and she would slam on my desk and she would say, "Jenny, focus!" I mean, it snapped me back into focus, but boy, was it mortifying. Another domain that impacts the self-esteem of children with ADHD is their social lives. I talked last week about how people with ADHD can miss the memo, and that absolutely shows up in the way that people try to make friends. Because of the heightened empathy that comes with having ADHD, some people with ADHD can come across as overbearing when they're trying to make a new friend. Alternately, in friendships, the same things that make ADHD kids tune out in biology class can make those same kids tune out when their friend is telling them a story. And that doesn't make you very popular if you don't know what your friend has just told you. Often, people with ADHD have a long history in their past of very painful friend and relationship breakups. These challenging social experiences can often cause people with ADHD to develop something called rejection sensitivity dysphoria. In a nutshell, that means that we have a sensitivity to rejection that makes us feel bad. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you spend a lot of time feeling nervous that somebody blinking at you the wrong way means that they're angry at you and they hate you now, you might find that you overreact to the smallest cues. This phenomenon can create a hair-trigger reaction to any perceived rejection from friends, family, and romantic partners. It can also create an exaggerated perception of what somebody says. For example, if somebody says, "I'm upset with you," you might hear, "You are a bad person and we can't be friends anymore." So all of these life experiences in childhood and beyond can create a really negative sense of self. It can create an internal monologue that makes you feel really bad. I have no follow-through. I'm bad at stuff. Why can't I do stuff as well as others? Here's the fix for poor self-esteem in people who have ADHD. First of all, diagnosis is a vital piece of this. It helps people contextualize their experiences. Even being diagnosed as an adult can cause you to look back at your past experiences through a different lens. But diagnosis by itself is not enough. Just like anything that happens in the brain, like anxiety and depression, people tend to question how real it is and be a little bit dismissive. Even with the label ADHD, so many of us believe we should be able to just tough it out if we use enough willpower. This is one of the big myths of our society, is that anybody can convince their brain to do anything if they just try hard enough. So what's required is not only a diagnosis, not only a label, but also the integration of that label and diagnosis into your identity. You need to take the time to recontextualize your struggles and really be gentle with yourself as you start to recognize which of the things that you've struggled with for so many years are actually symptoms of your ADHD. This might be something that you're able to do on your own, or it might be something that you need help with from a therapist or other professional who's worked with ADHD before. And finally, I urge you to go back and watch the video from 2 weeks ago about 5 ways that I think ADHD is my superpower, and recognize that ADHD comes with both challenges and strengths. Learn to lean into and embrace those strengths. Squeeze as much juice out of them as you can, and recognize that just like the challenges of ADHD, those strengths are a huge part of what make you who you are. By focusing on those strengths while you work to overcome your challenges, you may just learn to love your ADHD, which will help you love yourself better. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.